Hello, I'm Peter Daltrey from Kaleidoscope. In late 1998, I had an email from a guy in Holland who said he liked the band, which was great, and we sort of conversed backwards and forwards a little bit. And then he asked me if I'd like to contribute to an album that he was making. This was Arjen Lucassen, of course. So I looked him up and found out that he was a very famous, very talented Dutch musician with a lot of albums under his belt. And I had to listen to some, and they were, although they're nothing like Kaleidoscope music, the fact that he liked some of our albums was a plus sign, certainly. And his album's certainly fascinating. They have a theme running through them, almost like a rock opera. And he was writing a new one, and he asked me if I'd like to contribute to it. And I said, in which way? And he said, well, perhaps you could write the narration for the album. The album's called Into the Electric Castle, and it's got quite an involved story. But it would need a narration to link the tracks. So I thought, well, this would suit me down to the ground, because I'd already done White-Faced Lady with Kaleidoscope, which was a concept album complete with a full-length book. And I was in the process of writing Nevergreen, another concept album with my dear friend Damien Youth, again with a full-length book. So I jumped at the chance when Arjen said, write the narration. I thought, yeah, that'd be a great idea. What's the story? So he sent me an email with the story, and an outline of what the narration should be about and what stage between the tracks it should cover. And I must say I was immediately inspired, because it was a great story, a lot of characters, very dramatic. And I sat down probably the next night, or certainly the next day, and worked hard on it through the day. And I was sort of pleased with it. And I thought, well, I'll just send Arjen a rough draft of it. So I wrote back to him and said, I've done it. I've done the narration. He said, no, you can't do it yet. No, we need to discuss it a bit more. Really, it's got to fit the tracks. It's got to fit the story. It's got to be just right. You can't do it yet. I said, well, I have done it because I love what you told me about the tracks and where the album was going. And he said, well, send it to me anyway, because it'll be interesting to see what you've done, and then we'll work on it. So I was a bit disappointed, because I thought, well, in that case, he's not going to like it. So I sent it off to him, and within 24 hours probably, I got an email back saying he loves it, love what you've done. Obviously, it's going to need some tweaking because it's got to fit between the tracks, but no, it's absolutely fine, which I was thrilled about, because I'd really tuned into the album. I hadn't heard anything yet, but it was just the outline of the story. So I was really pleased that I'd managed to nail it, and that Arjen was pleased with what I've done, because I was interested in working with him. So I'm terrible with dates. I've got a lousy memory, I'm sorry, but I just can't remember dates or years. I have no idea at all. But if that was 98, probably early in 99, Arjen invited me over to Holland. I think he was living at that time in, is it Breda? Breda, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Breda. So I flew out to Schiphol, Amsterdam, and got out of the plane and got out and went to the arrivals hall, and I thought, well, I'll just wait here. And I waited and nothing happened. There was thousands of people going by. And I thought, well, this is probably before mobile phone. Everyone had a mobile phone, and so there was no way of ringing him. So I just simply had to wait. So I thought, well, I won't wander around because this is the arrivals hall. But after about an hour, I thought, well, this is crazy. Perhaps I got the wrong date or gone to the wrong airport or something. But of course, eventually, through the crowd, or rather above the crowd, because I hadn't realised that Arjen is actually 6 feet 7 inches tall, which was breathtaking. Along comes this amazing hippie giant of a man with hair right down over his shoulders, and of course it's Arjen, and it was great. We clicked straight away. I mean, I loved the guy, and we got on so well together, and it was instant. So yeah, he drove me back to his place. Lovely house in big grounds, a swimming pool, a fantastic studio. I was just drooling look at it. Absolutely amazing studio. I can't remember whether I think, to be honest, I think we probably did it that day after a cup of tea, and he had 2 little kittens, 2 tiny kittens, and one was white and one was black. And the white one was called Blackie, and the black one was called Whitey. Gorgeous little creatures, and as an animal lover, I mean, I just fell in love with those 2 as well. And Arjen had a couple of horses in a stable, absolutely amazing. So yeah, it might have been that night. I think it might have been that afternoon into the night. I think we got straight down and recorded the narration, and it was a fabulous job. But of course, the what I'd written had to fit between the tracks precisely, because Arjen by this time had already completed the music, so he knew exactly down to the second how much he wanted. So although I'd written out, I mean, this is section 1, for instance, the introduction. Although I'd written out what I thought it should be, obviously it needed trimming down a bit. I mean, the section in yellow, I think, was actually cut out. There is danger ahead, but do not be afraid, for I am with you like breath itself. Darkness will lead to light. Colour will bleed into the night. Beautiful colours, the like of which you have never seen. Let the dream of confusion lead you into the virgin light. Be gone, be all-seeing, be brave, be gone. I think that's actually missing from the actual recorded track, but that's fair enough. I mean, I knew that was going to happen. So yeah, we did that, and then we turned in for the night. I had a room over the garage stable block. Didn't sleep a wink. Didn't sleep for a second all night, because I had all this buzzing through my head and the excitement of the day. And so about 4 o'clock in the morning, I got up, and it was a beautiful morning. And I walked down to the stable to see the horses. And I love animals. I love horses in particular, and 2 black cats and white cats. And I was stroking the horses, and then I thought, well, no one's going to be up yet. So I went down and walked all the way around the paddock and came back. And when I got home, I had ticks. I was covered in ticks, either from the horses or the fields. Horrible little things that burrow themselves into you. And I was so disgusted, I pulled them out and threw them away. But of course, it's exactly what you shouldn't do. You should get special tweezers and take them out, because otherwise their little mouthpieces dig into your flesh and stay there, which was pretty horrible. So yeah, the next day, I think it was the next day, and Arjen said, I've actually recorded a version of one of your tracks, Room of Percussion, from Kaleidoscope's first album, Tangerine Dream. I said, wow, I'd love to hear it. He said, well, I haven't done a vocal. I'd like you to do a vocal, which was fabulous, because his version is absolutely great. I mean, it's a great heavy metal version of this delicate, melancholy, nostalgic song, The Room of Percussion. But it's great. I love it. It's one of my favourite sort of cover versions and doing the vocal on it was great. So yeah, I came home, and then, well, the rest is sort of history, really, isn't it? The album was released, very successful album. But over the years, many years, let's face it, what is it, 22 years or something, like God. Over the years, it's grown in stature of all our Arjen's albums, which are all good. It's sort of come to the top a bit because people have realised what a great album it is, and I think it's certainly one of the fans' favourite albums. And I think Arjen has realised that as well, that it's got this reputation. So a couple of years back, I think it was, again, I can't remember the dates. Arjen suddenly contacted me again and said, "Would you like to do a live show?" And I thought, "Oh, that sounds interesting. I'd like you to do the narration live for a series of shows." I think it was at Tilbury, something like that. And I said, "Well, I'll have a look at the calendar, certainly, it sounds interesting," but unfortunately it clashed with some other work that I was doing at the time, and I was unable to do it. So I engaged somebody else to do the narration, and they read the narration part at the live shows, which I think were very successful. And then I think Arjen had another show the following year, something like that, and this time he didn't ask me. He asked one of his favourite actors, somebody from Star Trek or Star Wars, I think it was Star Trek, if he could do the narration. And the guy said, "Yes, I will do the narration, but I'm going to write it myself." A bit disconcerted to hear that, because it's my narration. But anyway, it's Arjen's project. He can do exactly what he likes. I'm only joking. So yeah, he had this famous actor come over who had written his own narration, and then did it live on the show from the sort of ramparts of the castle. And I watched a bit of it. It was fabulous. It worked well. I'm not worried about that. But then at the end of last year, Arjen contacted me again and said, "Look, I'm going to do another show, and I want you to do the narration, but this time it would be great if we could film you doing it, and we'll project it on the screen behind the show." Well, I was all up for that. I thought that's great. That's a great idea. So in February of this year, I think it was 2020, I flew out. This time Arjen had moved. He was in, don't know, can't remember. Sorry, it's all gone. Beautiful little town. And he'd moved to a converted school hall with his wife. And so, yeah, I turned up there. His wife picked me up from the airport in this amazing car, a Tesla electric car. And that's all I could speak about on the hour and a half or what it was from the airport. This incredible electric car. It had something like 9 cameras. Had this massive screen on the front where you could see all these cameras telling you what was coming up and where you shouldn't be or where you should be. Great. So yeah, we got back to Arjen's new place, and we jumped in straight away. I mean, one of his best friends is a makeup artist, pretty little girl. I'm sorry, I apologise again, I can't remember the name, my mind is dead. But she did a fabulous job. The idea was that I think the earlier versions that Arjen had done were more spacey, but I particularly thought that the character of Forever should look ancient, and I sort of based that look on, oh God, his name's gone, the Hannibal Lecter man from Silence of the Lambs. Oh God, I can't remember his flipping name. Anyway, look at that. I think he was in a film called Noah or the Bible or something like that. But I particularly like that look. So Arjen's makeup artist, whose name I can't remember, This is what she came up with, which I thought was very good. With the lot. That's not my real hair, by the way. Real teeth. No, it's not my real teeth either. I got my glasses on, I got my hearing aids in, and this is the sort of ragged old clothes. And we did we went up to the studio, and so we videoed the narration, and it worked really well. And then Arjen's wife, whose name I've forgotten as well, oh God, I'm going to get shot for this. She put together the video with the backdrop and everything. I mean, this is one of the silly trailers that we did. It was fun.
Welcome to the cranial vistas of psychogenesis. I'm Peter Daltrey from Kaleidoscope, the original forever. Do not be afraid. I will be narrating the Arjen Electric Castle show at the night of the Prog Festival. And remember, forever.
But of course, sadly, the night of the Prog Festival couldn't go ahead because just after I returned from Holland, this bloody virus kicked in and everything was locked down. And I think eventually Arjen realised that he was going to have to cancel his show. So, fingers crossed, it's hopefully will go ahead next year or later this year, I don't know, but probably next year I would have thought, because it would be sad to think that all that preparation that had gone ahead and the video and everything and the fun we had wouldn't be seen. But yeah, that's my story of the involvement with the Electric Castle Narration and with my very good friend Arjen. And I thank him, for inviting me to do that, because it was a joyful, pleasurable experience to work with him. He's a brilliant musician and a truly lovely guy. Thanks, Arjen.
Mountainous pictures of coloured scenes appear upon my face, and the caustic smoke of scent dissolves forever in its place. The shadowy friends that line the walls all dream while laying down, while the window tapping silhouette in rain begins to drown. In the room of percussion, the discussion slides as you enter through the door, and the one-armed bandit laughs aloud and disappears once more. Foolish thoughts of ecstasy are dead, but without much concern. In the heart, my hopes by millions lay twisted as they burn. The crooked faces of clocks appear and die in nightmare dreams, while juggling music surrounds us both and turns our thoughts to screams. In the room of percussion, the discussion slides as you enter through the door, and the one-armed bandit laughs aloud and disappears once more. My God, the spiders are everywhere. With ruby wine and our tangled nerves, our mouths flap in despair, and with tumbled words of poetry, we try to prove we care. But the glowworm light of creativeness moves out into the rain, and the joystick dies and disappears, its scent alone remains. In the room of percussion, the discussion slides as you enter through the door, and the one-armed bandit laughs aloud and disappears once more. In the room of percussion, the discussion slides as you enter through the door, and the one-armed bandit laughs aloud and disappears just once more.